Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Paul, and
It's Amy here. Quick thing, this isn't the podcast, as you'll probably see by the title of the video, but I just want to say that will be coming back. It's not finished. We've just been far too busy to even think about it lately, so yeah. A few weeks maybe, and that'll probably be back. But there's something that happened today that we wanted to discuss.
we probably should give him a plague warning, by the way.
Oh yes, Paul is not very well at the moment, and he's coughing and spluttering. He's managed to infect me as well.
Proud.
Yes. So, yeah, a thing happened today. Do you want to say what the thing is?
Sega did a good thing.
Yeah, they've done a few good things as of late. But the good thing they did today is, well, they announced a few plans, and among those are a few different things. But the thing that got our imaginations turning is the fact that they said they want to revive major dormant IPs. Now, obviously, this is quite exciting potentially, so I figured why not just use this as an excuse to talk about our favourite games from Sega and which ones we'd like to see come back, basically.
So what you're telling me, right, and the viewers right now, is, as a woman, the idea of Sega coming back with new IPs, right, is percolating your nether regions.
Yes, it's shivering my timbers.
Okay. Is it triggering them as well?
Yes, it is.
Okay, the timbers are well being triggered. Okay.
Yeah, my timbers are all good, don't you worry.
Okay, well, we're going to get some microaggressions with Golden Axe, some Street of Rage, and some other bit.
Alright, so, which ones would you want to like to see come back then?
I'm going to go with a lot, to be honest.
Yeah, to be fair.
But I think in no real order, I guess we should probably... I think I'm probably going to start out with one of the more obvious ones.
Yeah, when I read the news, I had to go and find the Golden Axe metal version of the theme.
Yeah.
It's really good. If you haven't listened to it, go listen to it, because it's good.
So, basically, this is a brief synopsis of my time with Golden Axe. I was really young at the time, and I just got the Mega Drive / Genesis, and my introduction to Golden Axe and Streets of Rage were the same cartridge, as well as a CD, which was a compilation of Mega Games. I think it was Mega Games 2, and it was also the Sega Classics collection for the Mega CD.
Right.
So on Mega Games 2, it had those two games, Streets of Rage, Golden Axe, and Revenge of Shinobi.
Ooh, that's a good collection.
Yeah, I was like, this cartridge is actually godlike. So, I think the first game I actually loaded up was Revenge of Shinobi. But, obviously, we're primarily at the start talking about Golden Axe, and I just... There's something about that game. I don't know if you've played 2 or 3?
Not really, to be honest. I've played mostly just Golden Axe 1.
I honestly feel that serious, because it did have a couple of other games. There was an arcade fighter as well, so it's an arcade. There's an arcade Golden Axe as well, which is very much in the style of the other ones. And there was also a fighting game.
Wasn't there some really terrible, brown, dreary-looking game that came out on like the Xbox or something?
Yeah, but that was awful. We're not going to talk about that.
No.
I think it's called Beast Rider.
Yeah, there is no Beast Rider within the walls.
No. So basically, I think Golden Axe, I would actually be quite happy with that game, to be honest, in terms of like a 2D style.
To be honest, like, I think you could make... Yeah, as I was saying, I think you could make a similar argument for both Golden Axe and Streets of Rage, to be honest, because obviously they're fairly similar in terms of their mechanics. Obviously they're different in terms of theme and that sort of thing, but you know, they share a lot of mechanics that are similar. Obviously, you know, you can't ride around on a weird dragon thing in Streets of Rage, but... So, yeah, I mean, either or I would be happy with, to be honest. I mean, I love them both, but I think if I had to pick one out of the two, I'd probably go with Streets of Rage just because that's the one I played more, I think.
See, I'm kind of weird, because, and I'm probably going to get a lot of hate in the comments, because my opinion of Streets of Rage 1, 2, 3 is actually very contrary to most folks. Most people would put 2, 1, then 3.
Yeah.
I would put 1, 3, then 2.
Really? Why?
I think 2 is really, really, really overhyped. I tried 2 a couple of times and I have not liked it anywhere as much as 1 and 3. I think the themes of... I think 1 is way too basic, but I think what it does is solid as a rock.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, there are games that come out nowadays that try to ape it and just fail.
Yeah. But 3, it has some flaws. And by the way, I don't know if you know this, but the US version and the European version were heavily censored compared to the Japanese one.
No, I didn't know.
For example, there was a gay transgender, or just a gay man. I can't remember because it's been so long. But basically, he was censored. He was removed from the EU/PAL version.
What, as a character or an enemy? What?
Enemy. He was just completely gone. And there were also other themes that were removed in the game, and the plot was also very much changed as well.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, basically, they censored it quite substantially.
Hmm.
So you're actually better, if you can, don't pirate, kids, to come across a translated version. Hopefully Sega will release one officially, and you can play that.
Yeah, but I'd say either Golden Axe or Streets of Rage would be wonderful, to be honest. I mean, obviously Golden Axe is... I'd say Golden Axe is harder as a game, to be honest.
Streets of Rage is very difficult unless you know cheese. Like, if you know how to grip the enemies, like wait at certain parts of the screen and grab them as they're coming in.
Yeah.
Then it actually makes it a lot easier. Then you can do the classic knee, walk away, knee, walk away, rinse, wash,
Yeah,
repeat.
I mean, I think I still have PTSD from when you play as Blaze, and then obviously you get to the ship level, and the boss is 2 of you, basically. Like, that boss just... Oh, God.
There are a couple of cheesy ways of dealing with that. One, you can do the grab thing.
Yeah.
Or, the other way is if your back turned to them, they'll jump at you to do a flying kick, and if you press B and C together, you'll do a back attack, and you'll literally just smack them out of the air every single time.
Oh, I didn't know that. See, where were you 20 odd years ago?
Beating the enemies and completing the game.
Okay. See, I never completed it. I would always get to the hotel and then die there.
And then they'd have to smack us down upon your candy ass.
Yeah, because the hotel was fucking brutal in that game.
It was. I actually, even I struggled on it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would argue heavily for Streets of Rage or Golden Axe.
I prefer Golden Axe.
I personally prefer Streets of Rage, but I wouldn't complain about Golden Axe. I think Streets of Rage, because Golden Axe, like, is more active than Streets of Rage. And we've seen that the 2D scroller style, of fighter can work still with games like Shank. Obviously, Shank is more complex, very much so in comparison to Streets of Rage, but still...
I'm still yet to play that, you know.
I've not completed it, but from what I've played, it's a very good game. I think you'd like it. So, what else do you want to bring up from our list here?
Shining the series.
You're on your own on this one. I've never played it.
So I admit freely that I've not actually played many of the Shining games. However, one of them that I have played. What you can't tell is we're pausing this every 13 seconds because one of us is choking or the other one's choking. I only actually played Shining the Holy Ark on the Sega Saturn. And it's a first-person RPG.
Very unusual.
And it works incredibly well. And I played it originally, I think it was in 1997, possibly 98. I have a feeling it's more leaning towards the 98s. So basically you start out as a group of mercenaries.
Right.
And you're attempting to, let's say, stop someone from doing bad things. Who's basically a what you consider to be a thief. But after a while, basically, you're going through the mine to apprehend him. And basically your bodies get invaded.
Right.
And he gets invaded. Basically, one of your team, because there's 3 of you, 1 of him. So one of your friends gets invaded by a bad entity.
Okay.
And you, the guy you chased in, and your female companion, they get, you get basically possessed by good entities.
Right.
And they basically say, yeah, we really need to stop this thing because otherwise bad things are going to occur. And that's when the story starts.
Yeah.
So I'd be absolutely very happy for Shining. Now, Shining has been fairly active. It's got other games kind of that's popped up. Sega are obviously very proud of the series. So I think a Shining RPG of some description would be pretty awesome. And it's been, you know, there's been Shining Force, Shining the Holy Ark, blah, 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 Shining in the Darkness. There's been bloody loads of them. And it was prolific back in the 16-bit era. So I'd be very happy for another Shining game.
Okay. Do you think they would keep the first-person perspective?
It's not always been first-person.
Right, okay. Because obviously there's so many RPGs out nowadays. Maybe keeping the first-person thing would be a unique selling point, as it were.
I actually would. I'd dig it. I really like Shining the Holy Ark. It's freaking expensive on the Saturn, but I would I'd highly suggest trying it out at the very least. Look at a video; it's very cool shit.
So, we also have a game that I know you don't like very much, but I love it, and that's Jet Set Radio.
I'm out, guys.
It's Jet Set Radio. Now, they did just bring this out on PC quite recently, so clearly they still care about Jet Set, and if they want to make a Jet Set
they care
game,
about money.
Either way, I have it on PC.
It's your Steam account, not mine.
Yes. Anyway, I would love a new Jet Set game. I doubt this is it, to be honest. Like, if they're going to spend, like, millions of dollars on bringing an old IP back, which may or may not do well, because as we've seen, nostalgia doesn't necessarily guarantee success, I doubt it's going to be Jet Set. They're going to go for one of the classics, I think. They're going to go right into the classics bin, which...
Such as...
Shinobi is a strong argument.
So, did you know how Shinobi started off life?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you a bit of a history lesson here. So, originally started off in an arcade.
Okay.
And it was a very different game to what you saw on the Mega Drive. I'm not referring here to Revenge of Shinobi. So, basically, it started out live on the arcade machine, and eventually it was ported to the NES, the Nintendo machine, obviously, as well as the Master System. The NES version was piss poor, because it didn't have scrolling screen effects. But they redid some of the levels, and basically they added a health bar rather than a one-hit death system and other bits and bobs. And then, of course, we got Revenge of Shinobi, which, to be honest, I think is the pinnacle of the series. Shinobi 3 was also really good. There was also Shinobi on the Saturn. And, of course, you had Shinobi on the PlayStation 2.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
But... there's a couple of issues. Now, personally, Shinobi was another one of those games that I originally played on the Mega Drive. And I was telling you the other day, it was the first game I loaded up on the Mega Drive, / Genesis. And it was black and white because our TVs didn't work correctly.
Yeah, I remember.
So my parents very kindly had to get an entire new one. But anyway, so Revenge of Shinobi obviously was... there are a couple of other Shinobi games I'll probably forget
to be honest, like, when I say Shinobi, I mean Revenge of the Shinobi, because that's the one that I played the most. So, and I think that's what most people mean. I'll
tell you another game that I'd actually be quite happy for it to ape.
Okay.
I would either love a 2D Revenge of Shinobi, but with more, obviously updated graphics, or for it to forgo the 2D aspect, the 3D aspect as they did it in PlayStation 2, but instead go more the route of Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, that could work.
But with a more forgiving difficulty for A, and also more the inclusion of ninja magic. Yeah.
I mean, the problem is, Shinobi is obviously best known, it's okay, I would argue, for being, side-scrolling, incredibly hard platformer. And those are like a dime a dozen nowadays on Steam.
They are, this is true.
So... obviously the name Shinobi carries a lot of weight, but, people who grew up with the Mega Drive or Genesis, whatever you want to call it, are not, while we're a big portion of the people who play games, especially on PC, we're not the only ones, obviously, and Sega are going to be very aware of that, very cognizant to that fact.
Good use of the word cognizant.
Thank you. So, they probably would modernise it somehow. We have seen that retro style can still be popular with Shovel Knight. So, I'm not saying, it would die a death just because there's a lot of games like it on Steam. I'm just saying, like, the environment that it would release in is not the same as when it came out.
No, to be honest, I personally feel that Streets of Rage, and Golden Axe, I would be incredibly happy, much like how they're releasing the new Sonic game. What's that called again?
Sonic Mania.
Yeah, which we saw a trailer of the other day, and it looked really bloody good.
Yeah, no, it actually looks like a good Sonic game, which is like a fucking gift from the gods.
So if they were to redo that, with obviously slightly more modernised graphics, but Shinobi, Streets of Rage, and Golden Axe, with a modest budget, not $1 billion.
Yeah, they don't have to go mad.
No, like a modest budget, but good art, as you said, something like Shank or Trine, that type of awesome 2D art.
Or even, if you want to go for a retro style that still looks nice, look to Shovel Knight.
Yeah, no, maybe not that bad. But,
wow, the shade.
Well,
incredible.
Yeah, but it's, Streets of Rage or Golden Axe never looked 8-bit. Have mercy on the damn thing.
Alright,
I mean, admittedly, the Genesis was limited to 64 colours, but still. Well, technically, it was. I think it was 256. Actually, it was 128 if you include shadow and highlight mode, which the Genesis could also do to increase or decrease the brightness of particular colours on screen.
Right. The point is, I think Shinobi is fairly likely out of these.
Yeah, I think Shinobi would be pretty great.
We've also got things like House of the Dead, but...
Typing of the Dead, though, that would work rather nicely on PC. They could do quite a cheap re-release.
I mean, Typing of the Dead's already out on PC. They're not going to...
Yeah, but they could make a new one with new graphics. It's a cheap one. They could do it in Unreal Engine. And on top of that as well, they could also release it on the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 since they've got USB keyboards.
Well, my point is about House of the Dead, it's not going to happen, I don't think. The horror genre has changed a lot.
It's not really horror though. I mean,
what other genre would you put it in though? It's a game with zombies in it.
I don't really consider it exactly horrific.
Did I say it was horrific? I'm
Especially
just saying...
typing. I'm talking...
I don't mean Typing of the Dead though. I'm talking about actual House of the Dead.
I think...
As much as I love Typing of the Dead, I'm not talking about that.
I honestly think they should just resurrect it as House of the Dead. I'm talking not from what I would like to see, I'm saying from a financial perspective. They could do it kind of on rails, quite cheap.
Yeah, I mean, House of the Dead maybe you could argue because, you know, survival horror or whatever has gone through a bit of a resurgence as of late. And obviously with the success of Resident Evil 7, we've seen that, you know, there are still new ideas and things to be done within that genre with old franchises that were kind of, to be honest, dying a death before the 7 came along. So maybe it's probably like a second runner. It's not going to be a front runner,
no.
But I'd say it's at least an option given the revival of horror as of late.
I concur.
So what else have we got here?
Panzer Dragoon.
Yeah.
So Panzer Dragoon has obviously had 1, 2, Saga, and also Auto on the Xbox. So 1, 2 and Saga were released on the Saturn. Whereas, once again, Auto was released on the Xbox. 1, 2 and Auto were rail shooters. That is, the dragon just moved along a linear path, although you did get to choose the route.
Oh yeah, didn't we get that thing on Xbox One that was really terrible? That was supposed to be like a spiritual successor to it. It was called Crimson Dragon or something.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
That was dreadful.
It wasn't a spiritual successor.
Well, it was. I said it was supposed to be.
Yeah. Anyway, so 1, 2 and Auto were essentially rail shooters, but you got to choose your path, and also how you progressed in the game would also modify your dragon and the stats. Whereas Saga, of course, is the RPG, which is infamous, with very limited copies available. If you happen to actually own that game, you know, you're incredibly lucky and very wise.
He says as he owns a copy himself.
Yeah. To be honest, though, I was going to sell it when I was young.
Good thing you didn't.
No, I actually sold a lot of my Saturn games. I was stupid and sold loads of Saturn games for Tekken 3 and a couple of other games.
Well, you went to know.
No, and now, like, some of them, like, I sold Shining the Holy Ark, for example, and now it's worth £80. But that's nothing compared to Panzer Dragoon Saga.
Isn't that worth like 300 or something?
Well, yeah, it's like 3 to 4, maybe even 500, depending on the mint of the copy.
That's crazy.
And Castlevania Symphony of the Night, the copy I own, which is a version of the PSX with the limited edition art book, the music track, all the other crap, technical term, it's worth like 200 to 300 quid as well, according to eBay, which is bonkers.
Yeah.
But anyway, the problem I have with Panzer Dragoon Saga is to make the RPG, which I feel most people would want, it's going to be quite expensive.
Yeah, and they're probably not going to want to spend a ton.
But, with that said, I do think it would do well in certain segments of the market. With what I would do if I was Sega is I would release Panzer Dragoon Auto because it was released on the original Xbox. The graphics look fairly decent. They could certainly bump them up a few notches with better textures.
Well, we're talking about them revitalising major dormant IPs, so it could either be with a remaster or either just a flat-out remake.
I think it would be quite interesting to see that. Another thing I wouldn't mind seeing, and I'm probably going to get some hate in the comments here, I would honestly not mind Sega doing a Kickstarter or a fund campaign for Panzer Dragoon Saga and say, look, if you want this game, we're not starting work, but it's going to be extremely costly. We all know Sega are not the richest company. We all know they've had financial issues. So I think people actually, you know, saying, okay, we're going to give 3, 4, 5 million to at least give them some confidence, I wouldn't be behind.
Well, I don't know about the 3 to 5 million. I don't know if that's reasonable, but I think...
Well, games have had more. Look how much the Shenmue one had.
Yeah, I know, but that's Shenmue. That's a bit different. But what I was going to say is, regardless of the goal, is they kind of could do it similar to how the Kickstart for Bloodstained Ritual of the Night was done, and that it was purely to gauge interest, to see if anyone actually cared about that particular genre, and obviously the answer was resounding, fuck yes, can I have one please?
Another way
they could do something similar, where the goal is fairly low, like, I say low, in video game terms, like $1 million would be quite low, to be honest, especially for Sega, but if they set it to something like that, just for example, and putting numbers up my arse here, it could be 5p, doesn't really matter. And if obviously it was fulfilled, then okay, we're probably going to make our money back on this.
You know how another way they could do it? Okay. They could release it, and I'm probably going to get some more hate here, episodically, because technically the original Saturn version of, well, any Saturn version of Panzer Dragoon Saga was released over discs, multiple discs. So what they could do is release the first episode to gauge interest. And I feel if they did it as a remaster of Panzer Dragoon Saga or a continuation of the storyline, because the storyline was not super open, but they could definitely continue it, doing an Unreal Engine to reduce cost. Don't have it with the best graphics in the world, but have it, nice looking graphics. Keep the budget fairly low, and they could probably make a nice game, because Panzer Dragoon Saga has not got a huge open world. At the end of the day, it is an RPG, but I wouldn't say it's a corridor RPG. But it's, the world's like, the levels are open, but you don't go to like a world map screen kind of thing.
Right.
So I'd be quite happy for them to do that. But either way, even an auto version I think would be quite nice to judge interest.
I mean, obviously you've got games like, just for example, Alex Kidd. I mean, I love that game. But By
the way, how bullshit is Rock, Paper, Scissors?
Yeah, the fact that it has the Rochambeau or whatever it is for the bosses.
Please, someone let me know in the comments. As far as I understand it, because someone told me that it is quite literally chance. There is no way.
It's pure dice roll.
It's so bullshit. Like, the amount of times I lost like 3 times in a row as a kid, and I was like, really? Really?
Yeah, but the point is, I don't think it'll be that one. As much as I enjoyed it, I don't think it'll be that one. So.
I never was able to control the helicopter too well either.
No. Oh, that always crashed pretty quickly. Oh, now I'm kind of like, I could do with a replay of that actually, but I'm like, oh, you've already got a stack of modern games to play, maybe you should stick to that.
Let's be sensible now.
So, I guess, what would you say is the most likely out of the ones we've said? I mean,
Hang On actually would be quite nice.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've never played it, but
Hang On as once again a kind of a thrill seek, a budget title would be quite nice. I would also like to see Gunstar Heroes, very much 2D style. It was actually rated to be one of the best games on the Mega Drive. I believe it was Treasure that programmed that. And also, I don't know if it was Sega with Ancient. I can't remember if they own the IP, but another game I'd love to see is Story of 4 / Beyond Oasis. Which was not long of an RPG. It was about 5 to maybe 10 hours, depending if you know what you're doing.
Back then, though, that was pretty lengthy.
Yeah, that was really good. It also had almost FMV sequences, which were very impressive at the time. And I think the graphics that was also released, it was released on the Mega Drive, and it was a prequel to it called Legend of Oasis, I think. And that was released on the Saturn. So I think those games would be absolutely phenomenal. Another obvious example would be Knights. Knights, however, to be honest, I'm not a big fan of Knights. I actually own the original Knights, and I own Christmas Knights, which was a free demo they kind of gave away. And with Christmas Knights, it actually used to take your Saturn's time and date into consideration and give you in-game gifts. But, yeah, I never was a big fan of Knights.
Fair enough.
But personally, if it were me, Dream... Oh, and Virtua Fighter. Now, the problem Virtua Fighter's got is it's always been much more popular in Japan.
Yeah, I don't see Virtua Fighter happening just because the fighting game space is so dominated by Street Fighter.
Well, also, right now, you've got Tekken 7.
And obviously Tekken 7 is coming out.
Injustice.
Sorry?
Injustice.
Oh, yeah, Injustice.
The thing is, though, if you think of it from a development standpoint, by the time Virtua Fighter 6 came out, arguably, you would say that those games are going to be quite old.
I don't know. I would say that out of like risk, I would say Virtua Fighter would probably be the biggest risk.
Yeah, but to be fair, Capcom probably finished updating Street Fighter by about that time as well.
Yeah, it might even be a complete product by then.
I mean, it might have a single player game. Don't worry. I mean, technically you could simulate it by just keep going into training mode, I guess, to load up a character.
Yeah, I guess you could.
Yeah. Pro tip. And it also, if you're trying to grind the money to buy the characters using, fight money, you'd probably have just about all the characters by that point as well.
Oh. Anyway, so I would say probably Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, or Shinobi.
I think those games, all three of them, make sense from a cost versus reward standpoint.
Yes.
From what I would like, Panzer Dragoon Saga. From what I would like, ideally, Panzer Dragoon. From Dream World scenario, in other words, I see Mickey, Donald, and Goofy running around, and take me down to Disneyland. Personally, I would love to see Panzer Dragoon Saga and another Shining game. But if I had to, I'd probably say, from a realistic standpoint, some form of Golden Axe / Streets of Rage / Shinobi as 2D style. And for low cost entry, I would probably say Panzer Dragoon, possibly Auto as a rail shooter would be quite nice. I do think it would have quite the market. It would be quite cheap. They could do it in Unreal Engine or Unity Engine or whatever. And I think, as long as they had a fairly decent budget, they could probably produce the game not too expensively. There's probably other games as well. Oh
yeah, I mean, considering the library of games from Sega back then was very, very impressive. There's probably some we are ignoring, and obviously, there's the obvious one like Sonic, but Sonic's still going. We're talking about them revitalizing.
Was Comic Zone released by Sega?
I mean, I could quickly check.
Check it.
Alright.
Sega.
It's not on this list.
Condemned is though.
Oh yeah, Condemned. I mean, I wouldn't say no to a new Condemned game. Obviously, Condemned 2 was arguably a part of trash, but I would like to see a new Condemned game in the style of the original.
Rise from your grave!
What?
Altered Beast. It's like what he says at the beginning when he resurrects you. It's like, rise from your grave!
Right. Obviously, there's Crazy Taxi as well. Many people would probably argue that.
Also, other games that would be quite fun would be like Bayonetta. Sorry, not Bayonetta. Daytona USA.
Right, I'm just gonna Comic Zone game, I guess.
This game was so awesome back in the day.
I have it on one of my Sega collections.
Did you ever play it?
PS2. On those Sega collections, yeah, I played it. It was pretty neat.
It was hard as shit though.
Published
Sega.
It was published by Sega and developed by Sega. And Sonic Team, interestingly
and
enough.
Infogames.
Infogame, oh god, yeah. So, I mean, I doubt it will be that one, because that was, I would say, not many people knew that one.
That was such an awesome... I'm saying more of it as a good game.
Yeah, no, it is a good game. It is a good game. If you have it on any of your Sega collections, I know I've got it on a couple of mine, give it a crack, because it's good.
Random question. What's your favourite Sonic game?
I want to say...
Oh, Beyond Oasis was Sega. Okay, awesome. Definitely, I'd love to see Beyond Oasis brought back.
I'm going to say Sonic 3.
Oh my god, that would be an amazing game for them to bring back. They wouldn't though.
What?
Echo the Dolphin and Eternal Champions.
Echo the Dolphin, really?
Eternal Champions, I would love for them to bring that back.
Oh dear.
Did you ever play that?
No.
It was like essentially a 2D fighting game.
Right.
And it had blood like Mortal Kombat, but it was drawn like Street Fighter. It looked gorgeous back in the day. It had a lot of bugs, but I honestly feel if they continue to make it...
I've just seen the ultimate. I've seen the ultimate on this list. Well, you ready? It's Sega based Bass Fishing. That's the one they should bring back.
To be fair as well, the Skies of Arcadia.
See, that's what I'm saying. We could be here all day with these games.
See, this is, to be honest, Sega...
Like, they have so many games. Like, many people would probably argue Toe Jam and Earl. I never played it. But
did you ever play Virtua On?
No.
You never played it? It's pretty good.
So, yeah, we could be here till Christmas listing our favourite.
Afterburner!
See, that's what I'm saying every time I think I'm done. So, yeah.
Did you play that?
No.
Space Harrier?
No. I did not.
Okay, I'm going to tie her down at this point and just, like, glue a controller in her hand until she finishes it. She will know blast processing. Do you know? You know that was actually a real thing. It was where data was being blasted from memory, I think it was, and it was being used as a technical marketing term, but it technically was an accurate thing because it could be done faster over the buses. I can't remember the exact thing.
It also sounds good, like blast processing.
Did you ever see the advert where they basically had, this is what it looks like when you have blast processing, and this is what it's like when you don't? And they basically had like a Volkswagen Beetle with the SNES without the blast processing, and then they had like an F1 car and like with the blast processing, and they compared it to Mario playing as slow as possible versus like Sonic going loop de loop. And it, you know, the TVs were at the back of the Volkswagen and the F1 car to demonstrate it. It was fucking amazing.
Wow, that sounds incredible. All right,
back in the day, Sega. Oh my Jesus, they were actually Sony. They actually gave Sony a lot of ideas for the marketing, I swear to God.
Anyway, I think that's us done for this video, but let us know in the comments what you would like to see them bring back.
Yeah, pretty much.
Thanks for listening, and the podcast will be back soon enough, guys, don't you worry.
I suppose technically this is kind of a podcasty thing.
Kind of. It's long enough to be one.
That's what she said.
Anyway, see you later, guys. Bye.